Good morning, guys. I hope you're having a great Saturday. I'm just pulling out two archive videos, I guess you could call them, because I'm not able to do a ton of cooking and stuff right now, being kind of bed rest. We're about 35 weeks pregnant, so we're getting close to that point where it's getting in the safe zone. But anyways, just for now, we weren't able to record a podcast thing, but hopefully we should have one for you guys next week. But I hope you guys enjoy. I got a cooking video and then kind of just to get it all done, a speed clean, that kind of thing. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next weekend with another video. Hey friends, thanks for joining me again. Today I'm kind of doing, just to get it all done, this is going to be kind of a multiple day thing. I'm right now making some cinnamon raisin bread. We like this for our breakfast. So, yeah. I have a brisket that I wanted to shred and slow cook, so we're going to get that going. I need to blend up some ginger, make some ginger juice. I've been noticing changes in my weight, so that's really exciting to see because I'm doing True Healthy Mama and exercising. So I want to make sure I've got drinks and stuff on hand that are going to help me with that. Like Good Girl Moonshine, so that's why I want to make some ginger juice. My little guy's quiet until I start talking, and then he's like, I got stuff to say too. Anyways, so now that sits for like an hour. Do you guys ever wonder when people say we're going to get it all done, what they mean? Sometimes I'm like, yeah, right, you're not. But I guess when you think about it, it's like, okay, what do I want to get done today? What are the priorities? Let's get those things done. So things like watering the flowers, doing laundry, like I mentioned, getting the beef brisket going in the slow cooker. It's really nice outside, and it makes me feel like, it reminds me of summer. We currently have hamburger buns that are defrosted, so I want to do something that I could put with that. And I currently have fat rendering right now. We'll see if I keep it. I don't know if you're actually supposed to render fat from like store-bought beef, if that's actually good. Anyways, we'll see what happens with that. But for now, let's get going with some of our projects, and thanks for hanging out with me. You know, this is a 2-day thing because the cinnamon raisin bread takes a little bit to process. I'm going to do a fridge ferment, so it'll be ready to go in the oven first thing tomorrow morning. So anyways, if you want to see what I'm up to these 2 days, whatever, just hang around and I'll show you. Am I turning into a plant lady? I don't know. I'm trying to just have fun with the plants that I have, encourage them to grow. Some of them growing awesome, some of them not so much. Like my spider plant looks nothing like some I've seen, but it's fun to have them. I feel like they add a certain touch to the house that I really, really like. Most of these I've cut and propagated from just a few plants, so it's really fun to see them take off, and yeah, I'm learning lots as I go. With the weather changing, it was making me feel like making some summer type dishes, so I pulled this brisket out of the freezer. It had been in there for maybe 5 months, maybe 6 months. Anyways, there was a lot of fat on it, so I went at it, and it reminded me of when we would butcher our animals at our farm growing up. It was kind of fun to go at it and see how much fat I could get off. I did discover when I started out that my knife was pretty dull. It was not wanting to cut, but once I sharpened it, then it started working a whole lot better. I can link this knife in the description. It's my favorite, my mom's favorite. Whenever we knew someone who was getting married, she would give it to them as a bridal shower gift. It's such a sharp knife. It's really good. Anyhow, so then once I cut all the fat off, then obviously I cleaned my hands. And then I just grabbed salt and really tried to give it a good salt. Then I put it on the pan because I wanted to get a nice sear on it. You may have noticed there was tons of fat, which I ended up putting in the pot in the back and then cooking it down. I don't know, you guys tell me, is that like something that people use? I've heard you always drain the fat off of meat because that's where the not so good stuff is, I guess? I don't know. Let me know. Anyhow, I added water to the cast iron skillet because I wanted to get all the juice. And I guess whatever fat was there. Anyways, and then I just tried to scrape it. And then I dumped that into the pot. Basically, I was just doing a slow roast, slow cooker type thing with this brisket. So my recipe for this, well, I don't know if you would call it a recipe. I just kind of dump and squirt and put dashes of stuff like apple cider vinegar, liquid smoke. I like to add a bit of molasses since I don't use brown sugar. So I did a bit of molasses, about 3 tablespoons, and this was about a 3-pound roast, just so you know. So I didn't want to put too much molasses in. Then I added some Worcestershire sauce, and I'm trying to remember if I added some stevia. I added salt. I'm not sure I added stevia. Anyhow, then I added some pepper to the top of that. In my fridge, I found I had some tomato puree, tomato sauce stuff, so I dumped that in. And then, just to make sure I got everything, I added some water, shook it, and then I added that. Then I like to add mustard. So I had this container, it was almost all gone, so I added water to it. That's why it looks like it's a lot, but it's just very runny. And I was able to use up a bottle, which always makes me feel really good. Then I added a can of tomato puree. Then once it was all added, I just turned the Instapot on and let it cook for about 6 hours. I will say when it was done cooking, I wasn't able to process it, so I put the pot, I chilled the pot, took it out and got it all nice and cold overnight. And then in the morning, I went and took care of it. Anyhow, we'll get to that. Something that I've been trying to get better at is being more regular with washing the sheets. Typically, I try to do it at least once a week. I know when I was younger, I was really bad about staying on top of it. But I'm trying to do better. Anybody else like me? Speaking of bed sheets, do you guys make your beds every day? Generally growing up, that was always a thing. You always made your bed, and so I've tried to continue that on. Though often I'm the first one out of bed in the morning, and so for the most part, my husband tries to make the bed. Sometimes the days are crazy and he doesn't get to it, but generally he manages to make it. It's always a nice, I don't know why, it always surprises me. It always makes me really happy when we finish breakfast with the kids, he's gone to work, and I go into the room and the bed's made. It's like, aw, he made the bed. It's just a little thing, but there's nothing like having a messy bed. That's, I think, literally the worst. Kind of makes you feel not so great about yourself. Anybody else like that, or am I the only one? Like you may have noticed, this is a multiple day video. I kind of crammed a whole bunch of stuff into a few short clips. That's why you'll notice different outfits as the video goes on. Now that the weather has been warming up, I thought it would be a great time to start drying clothes outside again. There's nothing quite like freshly dried clothes, in my opinion. I absolutely love the feeling of clothes that have been dried in the sunshine. Did you know that you can get out baby poop, like when babies are breastfed, you know, they have that yellow stuff, and if it gets on clothes, you just gotta wash it and put them out in the sun, and the sun will get rid of it. It's really weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. Super cool. Because of living in the desert, it didn't take long for the clothes to get dried. Of course, it takes a little bit longer this time of year because it's just a tad bit cooler, but I want to say on this day it was about 60 degrees or mid-60s. Maybe like 63, 62. Okay, maybe it was 60 degrees. But anyways, I left the clothes out there for a couple hours, and by mid-afternoon, they were totally dry. It was pretty nice. You can get a lot of laundry done when you dry it outside. Plus, there's the satisfaction of knowing that you're saving. You're not running the dryer and stuff like that. Maybe I'm weird, but at least it makes me feel good. And then there was a massive pile of clothes. I don't know if you guys noticed, in the second load of laundry, I discovered it did not check the pockets of all the clothes. There was a whole mass of Kleenex that I missed. I should have checked it. I just assumed they were empty. They weren't. So anyways, as I'm folding laundry, I'm pulling off flakes of Kleenex. Yeah, but so it goes. Thankfully, it wasn't on everything. Just a bunch of stuff. Anyways, I like to get the laundry done right away, pretty much the same day. So if I get the laundry going the morning that I'm doing laundry, then it's much easier to get it done either during nap time when the kids are asleep or once they're up. Sometimes I have to stop and take breaks and go do things, but there's something that it really gets to me if I have laundry that's not done. It like hangs over my head. It's the worst. And also, I obviously did not look in the mirror before I did some of this footage because of my hair. But yeah, never mind that. I actually bought this ginger a while ago, and I was like, I need to take care of it. So I was like, okay, today's the day. I wanted to make some good girl moonshine and just have the ginger cubes on hand. Didn't want to waste this root of ginger. So I just chopped it up. I didn't worry about peeling it because I'm going to strain it here in a second. Yeah, you just blend it up for a couple seconds, maybe 10 seconds until you're pretty sure it's all nice and pulverized. And then I put it through a strainer. Sometimes I will put the pulp back into the blender, add more water, and have another go at it. But this time I was like, I'm good. It was pretty strong. It was a nice amount of concentrate, is that what you would say? It had a nice amount of flavor, so I was like, well, I don't want to water it down anymore. So I just squeezed as much of the juice out as I could. And yes, my straining bag was clean. It was clean when I started. It looks kind of dark, but that's just because I've used it. I used it for straining cranberry wassail, so it had got a bit discolored from that. Anyhow, then I just poured it into ice cube trays and popped it in the freezer. Then once it's frozen, you just put it in a Ziploc bag and you can grab one or two or however many you like to add to your drinks. Quite literally, it almost tastes like pop when you do Good Girl Moonshine this way, just because of the ginger. And if you're familiar with the recipe, you add apple cider vinegar and stevia, and it's almost like a ginger ale. It's actually really good. Next up, I needed to make some more softened butter. Now, growing up where I don't know, we always kept our butter in the fridge, And so as you would imagine, the blocks of butter get really hard. So my mom would do this thing where she would add some oil to it, soften it, blend it up with some oil, and pour it into a container, and then you keep that in the fridge. And so whenever you pull it out, it's basically, the oil makes it spreadable. So that's something that I like to do. It's kind of funny because my husband didn't grow up with that, but he's gotten used to it now. So if we're ever out, he's like, oh, where's the butter? I'm like, oh, you actually noticed. So anyways, he likes it. So yeah, I just pour it into the little container, and then that usually lasts us a couple weeks. Sandwiches and toast and stuff like that. Now let it be known, I was going to show you my favorite recipe for making mayonnaise, blender mayonnaise. But probably for the second time in my entire life, it flopped. I only remember one other time where it didn't thicken right. So basically I have liquid dressing in my fridge right now. Anybody want to come over for some salad? Alright guys, well it's the next day and I pulled my sourdough out of the fridge. This is what it looks like. So now I'm just going to add the cinnamon, raisins to it, and get it into the little pans and into the oven. In an ideal world, I would have a perfectly clean kitchen and everything all in order, but anyways, it's first thing in the morning, not first thing. We've had breakfast, but there's a lot to do, a lot to get ready for today. So let's get this going just because it needs to get in the oven. Dividing the bread up for this recipe was a little bit of a fiasco. Let's just say I wasn't able to think straight. I made a triple batch, so I made a recipe, it would end up being 3 loaves. And if you can see there, I have 3 bread pans. The largest one is for 2 full loaves, and then the other 2 are about 1.5 loaves or so. That's about their size. They're bigger than your typical bread pan, but they're not quite like the size of 2 loaves. So as I was dividing it, I was suddenly like, oh, hold up. How many? Because I didn't have enough for the biggest pan and one of the medium-sized ones. So I ended up just doing, what did I end up doing? I believe just one. No, I did 2 of the medium-sized ones. That's what I did. So that was about the total of 3 loaves. Anyhow, you'll see me kind of like grabbing dough and putting dough back and whatever. It worked out in the end. But that's kind of what was going on. Decided just for fun, instead of just doing raisins, to do goji berries. I recently heard how good those are for your eyes, and you can see I obviously have major problems with my eyes. You see those spectacles. Anyways, so I was like, hey, why not just go ahead and do half raisins, half goji berries? So that's what I did there. If you've seen my other videos, other sourdough ones, you know I love to use Glenda Groff's recipes, so I will link this one in the description. She's so kind and puts her recipes online. She also has a cookbook. One of these days, I think I just might have to invest in her cookbook because her recipes they're golden. They're awesome. We like to use this bread for breakfast meals, for our breakfasts in the morning, like to toast up a couple pieces. When I'm trying to stay in just carb mode, then I'll do 2 pieces of toasted bread and then I'll spray on a little bit of coconut oil, but just a tiny little bit so I stay in E mode. And then I like to sprinkle it with super sweet, which if you're familiar with Trim Healthy Mama, that's one of the sweeteners they sell. It's a mix of stevia and erythritol, I believe. Anyways, it's just like it sounds. It's super sweet. It's really, really good. That makes for an awesome breakfast. If you have some toast with that and then some form of protein or something, it's pretty good. Now Glenda suggests cooking these in a clay baker. Since I like to do it for sandwich bread, I prefer to do it in these pans. And then since I don't have a lid, I just used foil and tint that over the top. And it does a great job. I ended up with some really nice loaves, and then the top was a bit crunchy, but it wasn't super bad. I didn't get like a really hard crust like artisan bread does. So it worked out pretty good. The sauce was quite runny from the brisket, so I threw it on the stove in a pot and just let it simmer for a while to kind of cook it down. Then I pulled the brisket and basically shredded it. I did cut it into smaller size sections. I've cut it into thirds because we didn't really want super long, stringy pieces of meat. But it was delicious. We had it with some sourdough hamburger buns and some pickles and veggies, and it was really delicious. It was so good. I was able to get a couple other, maybe 4 meals out of this. So I threw some in the freezer to have for later. So that'll be really nice. Hey guys, welcome back for another cleaning video. Today I wasn't really feeling with it, to say the least. Anyways, I thought it would be good to try to just go through the house and do a quick cleanup because our routine has been different, and so I feel very out of whack, and I know I certainly don't feel like doing stuff, but I know I need to. So anyways, if you guys are feeling like that too, why don't you join me and tackle some project in your house and let's get some work done together. Welcome to my channel, guys. I'm a mom of 2, I would say under 2, but now I have 1 2 and 1 6-month-old, and I enjoy doing homemaking videos and just sharing different ways that I try to make homemaking a little easier and share how it can be enjoyable. Thank you guys for hanging around and watching today's video. It was one of those days where I wasn't feeling very motivated to do stuff, but once I got going, then I was like, this isn't that bad. So I started out in our bedroom because I was going to put my little boy to bed shortly. So I was like, let's get our room put together first, and then we can go on to the rest of the house. Started out by swapping out the sheets. It had been a little bit since that had been done. If you enjoy homemaking videos or cleaning videos, food prep videos, those kinds of things, feel free to check out our channel. I post twice a week different homemaking videos and things that I hope will be an encouragement to fellow homemakers. Recently I started tucking in my little boy when it was time for him to go down for his nap and for bed, and he really likes that. He really likes the security of being tucked in under the blankets. It's pretty cute to hear. He makes these little happy sounds whenever I tuck him in. We thought it was about time to buy one of these little clocks for him. Basically the idea is it turns a different color depending on the time. So when it's nap time, it's red, and then you could set a timer so the color will change. So when it's time to get up, then it turns green, for example. So it's still something that he's figuring out. He hasn't fully caught on to the concept yet, but I think it's going to help, especially when he gets a little older and he doesn't need to nap necessarily, but he'll at least need to know quiet time is when we're quiet, and then once it's over, then you're good to go, and he doesn't have to that way be getting up or like making noises or trying to get me to come, because he knows it's quiet time until it turns green. Just because we have a little house doesn't mean we have a little bit of stuff. We have enough things that it piles up very quickly. Once I got the table cleared, then I went and just started sweeping. I need to give the floor a good mop. The task of the day was just trying to get things picked up in an order. And since we got 2 little kids eating at the table 3 times a day, there's lots of little bits of food that collect. Typically I vacuum during the day when the kids are up, but at this point my oldest was in bed and I just thought, let's just get it done. My little girl, she was also in bed, but she was at a point where I didn't think the sound would really bother her, and I knew I would get the vacuuming done a whole lot faster if I just went ahead and did it. You guys know what I mean? My 2-year-old loves to help, and makes things take a lot longer, which sometimes there are days for that and other days where you just need to get in and get it done. Alright, now that everything's mostly cleaned up, I want to make some muffins because I need to have some good carb muffins on hand, just so I'm not going for those snacks all the time. And then I do want to make some squares. I have a chocolate peanut butter recipe I want to give a try. It looks really easy, so hopefully I can make the squares before the little guys wake up, so we'll see. But let's get going on the cranberry orange muffins. Cranberry orange muffins are one of my favorite go-tos. They're really nice to have on hand for snacks, and I make them quite regularly. I was a little sad to see this is one of my last bags of cranberries, but the other day I discovered I had actually canned some cranberries, so I guess I could always pull those out and put them in muffins, although they will be more blueberry-ish in the sense that they're already soft and they're probably going to just squish flat, but that's okay. At least I have a few left. Somehow I ended up doubling, if not more, the amount of almond milk. I still don't know how I did it. I somehow didn't read the recipe right. So then I had to go back, and I'm not going to show you, but I did go back and double all the ingredients. Oh, those things still happen to me. Once that was done, then I wanted to try a recipe I saw for some peanut butter chocolate squares, where you basically do a peanut butter base and then just melt some chocolate and put it over the top. So I will link that recipe below. It turned out really, really good. We really liked it. In the recipe, she said to melt the butter and then mix in the peanut butter and stuff. So I just decided to go ahead and do that on the stovetop, and then I added the majority of the ingredients on the stovetop. When it came time to cool down the base, she suggested putting it in a flat disc and forming it into a flat disc, putting it in saran wrap and putting it in the fridge. But I just went ahead and used parchment paper, pressed it into the parchment paper, and then chilled that until the chocolate had all melted down and was ready to put on top. When it came to the topping, I decided I might as well go ahead and weigh it. I had some chocolate bits and ends, bits and bops and ends, whatever. Then I just weighed that and ended up adding a few chocolate chips to it just to bring it up to the right amount. At this point, the laundry was done, and as you can see, my little girl was up. She made for kind of a fun companion. She's kind of funny these days. Anyways, was able to tackle some laundry and get a bunch of that done. Today, where are you going? It's time to get the big brother up, get her fed, get her a snack, and probably go pack eBay orders or something. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.